Before watch this, if you're a Sweden fan, this video might frustrate you a little because the numbers, the odds, and history are all saying the same thing. And it's not in Sweden's side. There's a team that has lost only once in their last several outings. In fact, they've gone 9 matches without defeat. There's another team that has both won 5-1 and lost 5-1 in this very tournament. And on June 25th, these two step onto the same pitch. Today, we're going to see how these two teams got here. We first look at the numbers and go to the tactical board. All we have the same question on our mind: why this match decides the fate of Group F and what the realistic scenarios look like. At the end, I'll share my own prediction with numbers, percentages, and the reasoning behind them. Until now, Japan drew 2-2 with the Netherlands, then beat Tunisia 4-0. 2 matches, 4 points. Sweden, meanwhile, beat Tunisia 5-1, then lost 5-1 to the Netherlands. At this point, we should look at the Sweden statics. Sweden became only the second team in World Cup history to both win and lose by a margin of at least 4 goals at the same tournament. And the only previous instance was also Sweden, back in 1938, when they beat Cuba 8-0 before losing 5-1 to Hungary. So Sweden is now repeating a strange record they themselves set 88 years ago. Tunisia is already eliminated, so the real battle is between Sweden and Japan. A win secures Japan first place and a direct ticket to the last 16. For Sweden, only a win will do. Even a draw could put their tournament at risk. That's why this isn't just a group match. It's a match where one side can play with composure and the other has no choice but to risk everything. We must understand this team for understand this match. Following a draw with the Netherlands and a win over Tunisia, Japan have a chance to go through the group stage of a World Cup unbeaten for only the second time, having first done so as co-hosts in 2002. Just think about that. Something they achieved on home soil 24 years ago, they're now this close to repeat. And there's another record on the line. Japan have not lost in their last 4 World Cup matches. If they go unbeaten in this one too, they'll become only the second Asian nation to manage that, after South Korea's 6-match run between 1998 and 2002. So what's this team's weapon? The answer is simple: organization. Japan has built an identity around disciplined defending, quick transitions, and organized teamwork. Their strength comes from collective effort rather than individual brilliance. There's also this: 8 different Japanese players have contributed to goals this tournament, equaling their highest total at a single World Cup. Also 8 back in 2022. So this team doesn't depend on one star. Everyone contributes. But every beautiful story has its missing piece. Takefusa Kubo is doubtful for this match due to injury. And, worse still, Captain Wataru Endo withdrew through injury and has since announced his retirement from the national team. The armband has now passed to Ko Itakura. So the question is Japan still a surprise team or a genuine contender now? I think the answer is clear. This isn't a surprise anymore. This is an organized, disciplined, genuine contender. Sweden returned to a major tournament after a 5-year absence. They had failed to qualify for both the 2022 World Cup and Euro 2024. So for this team, simply being here is already an achievement. Sweden's identity is built on physical strength, direct attacking play, and aerial dominance. They are dangerous in transition and set pieces, but vulnerable defensively. And now we have to ask, why did they collapse against the Netherlands? The answer is as simple as it is frustrating. It is. Brian Brobby scored in the 5th and 17th minutes. This is one of the fastest brace in World Cup history. Sweden was already 2-0 down before the match had even properly begun. But here's the number that genuinely surprised me. Sweden only faced 10 shots against the Netherlands, but 7 of them were on target and 5 went in. Just think about that for a second. 5 goals from 10 shots. That's not bad luck. That's a defensive structure collapsing. But on the flip side, a hero emerged. Alexander Isak, with 1 goal and 3 assists against the Netherlands, broke the record for the most goal involvements by a Swedish player at a single World Cup in records dating back to 1966. So Sweden lost, but Isak personally wrote history. This is Sweden's dilemma. They have to attack to win, but every time they attack, their defense opens up. This is the story of a team that wants to win but should be afraid of losing too. But after looking on numbers now, let's go to the tactics board. Japan is expected to stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation that has served them well, with Ayase Ueda leading the line and Daichi Kamada and Junya Ito just behind. Captain Ko Itakura anchors the back three. Sweden, needing a win, is expected to line up in a 3-4-3 built around the strike pairing of Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres, with support around them. Japan's advantages are clear: possession, wide pace, technical quality. Their disadvantages are also clear: aerial duels and physical battles. Japan likes to absorb pressure and punish on the counter, and Sweden being forced forward to chase a win creates exactly the kind of open game Japan wants. Sweden's advantages: set pieces, height, counterattacking speed. Disadvantages: defensive fragility against high-tempo opponents. The space left behind by Sweden's advancing fullbacks is exactly what Japan's wide players are looking to exploit. In the end, tactically, this match is built on a contradiction. The side that wants to win is the one increasing its own risk of losing. It is clear the effect of the players. We saw it in Argentina's Messi. It is time to look at the guns of the teams. The players. Ayase Ueda. He scored twice against Tunisia, equaling the record for the most goal involvements by a Japanese player at a single World Cup with 3. Why could this man change the match? Because Sweden's defense is already fragile, and Ueda is exactly the kind of player who targets those gaps. Takefusa Kubo and Ritsu Doan. Japan plans to use the pace of this pair on the flanks to be dangerous on the counter. If Kubo can't play, that creativity dips slightly, but Doan is still there. Alexander Isak, currently one of the most dangerous in-form players at the tournament. 1 goal, 3 assists, a historic performance. Why could he change the match? Because he has the quality to win a game completely on his own. Victor Gyökeres. His partnership with Isak sits at the very center of Sweden's entire attacking plan. If this duo is on form, they can seriously trouble Japan's back three. Now we get to the most fun part. Here, I'll show you 3 possible scenarios. These are possibilities grounded in real data. Scenario 1, Japan finds an early goal. Sweden is forced to push forward and press. Minute 80, a corner, and Sweden's height advantage pays off. Goal, 1-1. This scenario shows Sweden's aerial strength and their late-game risk-taking. Scenario 2. The first half ends 0-0 because Japan is looking for a low-scoring, controlled result in this match. Minute 70, Doan drives down the flank, crosses, Ueda finishes. 1-0, this scenario shows the payoff of Japan's patient approach. Scenario 3. Sweden goes ahead from a set piece, perhaps a free kick from Isak. Japan pushes forward and presses for the rest of the match. But in the final minute, Japan's goalkeeper Sweden ahead 1-0. This scenario shows Sweden's path to victory, but how risky it still remains. Which one will actually happen? I don't know. Nobody does. But the numbers point us in a direction, and let's look at that now. According to Opta's supercomputer simulation, Japan are the favorites in this match, winning 51.9% of simulations, with Sweden winning just 22.2%. The remaining percentage accounts for a draw. According to betting odds, Japan are also the favorites. Japan to win at 1.60, Sweden to win at 3.70, and a draw at 3.10. So the market is saying the exact same thing. In terms of possession, the expectation favors Japan. Based on how this team has played throughout the tournament, we can expect a controlled performance. As for shots, Japan is expected to take fewer but more effective shots since their target is a low-scoring win. Sweden, needing a win, will throw everything forward, and this match has goals written all over it. My pick for player of the match, Ayase Ueda, because Sweden's defense is already fragile and not well prepared against Japan's dynamic attack. And my prediction, Japan 2-1 Sweden, because Japan's threat in transition and their balance outweighs the risk Sweden creates by being forced to attack. Sweden will almost certainly find a goal. Isak's form practically guarantees it. But Japan's discipline and counterattacking strength should ultimately win the day. Now, let's bring everything together, because this match isn't just a result, it's a turning point for an entire group. If Japan wins, they'll have largely secured their last 16 spot and claimed the chance to become only the second Asian nation to go through a World Cup group stage unbeaten for the first time since 2002. If Sweden wins, the entire balance of the group changes. A nation returning after a 5-year tournament absence could turn the strange record they themselves set, winning and losing by a huge margin in the same tournament, into the start of a happier chapter. The World Cup is sometimes remembered not for its favorites, but for the stories written by details just like these: a captain's retirement, a fragile defense, a player's form. All of it comes together on June 25th. What do you think? Does Japan's discipline win out, or does Sweden's desperation carry them to a miracle? Leave your prediction in the comments. Subscribe. Group F's finale is waiting for us.